really intense and very complicated. But it was worth the effort because that's the story of the film. If that didn't work, I don't think the film would work. So we had that pressure on us to make it work and make it very impactful on an emotional level.
I think it's my favorite of the most recent Marvel movies by like a lot. You did a really good job.
Well, we had fun making it, and it was an old family reunited to make it happen. So it was good. It was good.
Yeah, because you worked on the first Guardians too, right? What was it like, kind of that evolution of collaborating with James Gunn from the first one to now the third?
It was great. I mean, we had a good time on the first one, obviously trying to figure out what that was at the time. And then sadly, I couldn't do the second one. I was doing Doctor Strange at the time, actually. And then, James invited me to come back on the third one. That was initially in 2018, and then we pushed a little bit, as everybody knows. And we started back in 2021, and we were doing also the Christmas special. And it was great to come back with, a lot of people that had worked on the previous films, and obviously the actors and everybody, the family reunited. But it was also interesting to see, because I had not worked with James for a little while. And he had done a few things in between, and how as a filmmaker he had evolved. He was already really good on the first one, really prepared and really, really deep into his characters and his story and everything. But he definitely, had a journey throughout his career, and then he's shooting even faster, even a different style, very active camera and all that thing. That was really interesting to see the evolution, actually. But still the same, very well prepared, very, very good director that has a clear vision of what he wants to get on the screen, for sure.
And then can you also talk to me a little bit about the evolution visually of the characters, like Groot, for example, from the first one to the third one, because some of them look so different.
They do. I mean, Groot as an old story. Actually, it's not even the same Groot. As you know, the first Groot died in the first film, and that little twig that we saw at the end of the first film became the little baby Groot, and that everybody loved in the second one. And now it's that big butchy football player that James described to us. Like, it's like he's a happy guy. We've seen him being a teenager that was a little annoying, but now he's become that sweet, young adult kind of guy that's really good. And that actually has learned to work really well with Peter Quill. And they have their tactics and their shorthand between the two of them to understand what's going on. And they have some little surprises for us in the film. So it was cool. It's very different. When I saw the first drawing that we got from our people in the VizDev that James had asked them to do, I was like, oh, that's very different. I didn't imagine that it would grow so butch in that little time. But he said, yeah, no, but that's cool. He can do this, and then also he's gonna dance at the end and all that stuff. It's gonna be fun. And so we did kind of an hybrid, coming from the old Groot that had all these he looked really old, in the first film. He had, the bark was a little old and everything. And now he's younger. So, but we still kind of retain some of the stuff we had done in the first film that were lost a little bit in the baby Groot, because the baby Groot was more, he could deform his face a little bit more. He had a skin that was a little bit more flexible. But here we wanted to bring back some of the things we had done in the first film on his face. Like we had these kind of plates that were kind of sliding on top of each other to bring back some of the woody feel that we had in the first film. So it's kind of an in-between technologically between the baby Groot, or at least the teenager Groot, and the old Groot that we had seen before. And also we had to make him really big at the end, in the post-credit scenes. Alpha Groot, as James was calling him. And I remember James drawing for me a drawing of like that big burly Groot. I was like, okay, that's cool. And then we had to build it as well, which was fun. And now it's so big. And I don't know how you deal with, because we've always had trouble dealing with all the different sizes in these films, like between a small rocket that's like 3 feet tall and then Groot that was tall, but like now it's even more. So framing these guys is a little bit of a little bit of a challenge.
Yeah, I can imagine. Kind of speaking of Rocket, one of my favorite storylines in Guardians 3 was Rocket's journey, and when we got to like dig into his origin and everything. Can you talk about the process of bringing Rocket and the other characters like Lila and to life?
Well, I mean, it's the core of the movie. It's the core of the story. It's the core of the entire trilogy in some ways. So it was very important that we get that right. We had these, I mean, James had already done some little scribbles of what the character should look like, and the VizDev guys did a great job at creating those characters from the designs that James gave to them. And I mean, we worked with a company that's called Framestore, visual effects, that is in London, in Montreal, and everywhere, so many places in the world. But the team that took care of these animals was in London, which was the original team that we worked with on the first film as well, who created Rocket on the first film. So obviously they had new additions, but it was that company and these people. So they understood the character so well, and that's important for us in terms of casting the visual effects vendors, people that understand the character, that have worked with James, that have worked with me, and that we can work together very well. So we designed these characters in order to shoot the scenes. We actually did some sort of a virtual production, I would say. There's no motion capture in the film. It's all hand animated, but we put the actors on a little set that was oversized, because the actors obviously are bigger than Otter. And, we had James Gunn, who always does Rocket for us on set. And we had Linda Cardellini that was playing Lila, Asim that was playing Thieves, and Michaela Hoover that was playing Floor. And so we put them into that little volume, and we filmed them for the first 2 days of the film. We filmed all the scenes with them in that little capture volume. But what we wanted to capture was not the animation of the actors. We would use the acting as a reference for the animators. But what James wanted to capture was the camera moves, because now as I said earlier, he has evolved in his way of shooting his films. And one of the things that has changed is the way he's filming with the camera. And so Henry Bram, our DP, is also the camera operator. And we shot the entire scenes, all the scenes in the first 2 days, with the actors acting out everything they had to do. And we shot that, and we captured the camera moves. And that gave us a full template of these entire scenes that were about 15 minutes in the film, in the first 2 days of the film. And they're so important. That's the core of the film. And all of that was edited really quickly by Fred Raskin, our editor, and then given to Framestore so that they could start, building the sequence, put the animals in there, work on the animation, reference the actors. We literally use all the acting from these first 2 days, except for Sean for Rocket, because we do ADR later with Bradley Cooper. But even that, we based everything off of these first days of shooting in that capture volume, but just for the camera move and the reference from the animators. And then we animated everything off that. And that was really great, because we got so much footage and good material from that. And that was the template for the scenes. And it took us a year to do it in post-production. That's how long it took, because there was so much emotion. We had to build all the CG characters with all the range of emotion we would need. They're laughing, they're crying, they're dying, they're shouting in pain, they're, all that stuff. And Rocket evolves, Rocket grows. So we had to build all these different versions of Rocket throughout his evolution. So that was a huge amount of work. And we had to, the entire environment around them was scanned from the set, but it was all CG around, so all these scenes are full CG. We shot references of the lighting from our DP, Henry, and everything, but it was all CG. That was the best way to go about it. But it was really, really intense and very complicated. But it was worth the effort, because that's the story of the film. If that didn't work, I don't think the film would work. So we had that pressure on us to make it work and make it very impactful on an emotional level.
You definitely did. I like gut punch with all of their scenes. It was so
that was the idea. We were like, it was emotional. I mean, even when we were reviewing basic, blocking animation, the more we were going into it, we were like, I mean, we had moments in our review room in post-production where we were literally kind of crying. Yeah. Like the first time we saw like the renders and Lila getting, we were like, oh my God, this is so, sad. It was a very emotional process,
Now, shifting away from the very gut punch emotional stuff, can you also talk to me about the holiday special? Because that is such a fun, silly, I almost feel like breath of fresh air for you guys, because you did do that kind of simultaneously, right?
We did it at the same time. It was actually really fun. I mean, fun, but a lot of work, because on our side, we had more than 3,000 visual effects shots to do on the film itself. And we had 560 visual effects shots to do on the holiday special at the same time. So it was a lot of work, but we were very well organized, and we had set up the vendors so that they could achieve this, concurrently and without too much pressure, And also it was a good test ground for us on a lot of things. For example, Cosmo, was in the Christmas special, and we could, it gave us extra time to kind of actually get her sorted out before we really would do her for the film. So that was really good. But yeah, no, in terms of shooting the special, that was fun because, we were shooting main principal photography, and then there was the special Christmas special days. And all these days were like very kind of funny. We were always super giddy. It was like, we were shooting the main film, and then, there's a Christmas special day. Cool. We're going to have fun on this day. And we were like, because the story is so crazy. But it was good. It was good. We were all very, and James was a little bit, on the special, it was a little bit more fluid even, like, the camera's going to go there and then we're going to do this. And it was a little bit more organic in the way on the special, but in a good way. It was silly a little bit, which was great. When we were doing one or 2 days of very sad story, and then suddenly we're going on the special, it was like, cool. That was good.
And then, are there any details from either the holiday special or Guardians 3 that fans may have missed, but was like your favorite moment?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, people now, they analyze so much stuff on internet. They go literally frame by frame, and it's very interesting how much people can actually figure out. Like, I know that there was a lot of people that were wondering what is happening to the High Evolutionary at the end.
Yeah.
And actually, if you look at the animal stampede, where all the animals come out, and which is a huge sequence for us because it was all CG animals, obviously, and that was very complicated. But you see in the back, you see that I think Drax is actually carrying the High Evolutionary on his back. I'm not sure everybody's seen that because it's very difficult to see, but I know some people on the internet have picked him up. You do see him, but you really got to pay attention. And there was a scene that is actually, I think, in the bonuses on the Blu-ray and maybe on Disney Plus, that we cut, where you could see on Nowhere the High Evolutionary and Rocket putting him into a prison, which was kind of a bit of a reversal of the fate of the two of them, Right. And I think that scene is on the Blu-ray at least, and it got cut because the ending was a little too long and a little too much, too many endings. But it was kind of telling you what was really happening to the High Evo at that point.
And then you've been playing in this Marvel sandbox for a while, all the way with the original Captain America movie. What's your favorite part of like getting to do these Marvel movies? I like I've been pretty lucky that I've been doing, not always, but most of the time, I've been able to work on the first films. So it's creating that universe. It's like the world building thing that I really like, So, for example, doing the first Guardians, we had to figure out everything.
I remember discussing with the production designer at the time, Charlie Wood, and we were like, well, we can't use the door handle from IKEA or from, we have to figure out what a door handle is in this world, So everything has to be designed, and the characters and the powers and all that stuff. I've been lucky enough. I've done this. I've done the first Doctor Strange. Same thing. We had so much to figure out about magic in the MCU at the time, trying to get a fresh approach to it. And then, I did Eternals. I did Ant-Man 2, which was number 2, but we were finally going into the quantum realm, which we hadn't really gone to. So that was another level of world building for me. So I really like that aspect of things, figuring out the characters and the world they live in. It's always super exciting. And then working with different directors, they all have their little different things. It's always interesting to work with different personalities like that. It's very interesting. It's like getting inside the mind of a director and understanding what they want, what their thing is. It's to me, it's fascinating. I
love that. And I saw you're on the new Superman movie with James Gunn too. So I'm very excited to see you bring the world building from that into the DC universe too.
As I said, I love doing that kind of stuff. So that's really great.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. Guardians 3 is great. I cannot wait for Superman. Just so much.
Thank you so much. Thanks for your time.